Okay, according to that, we are live. So, good evening and welcome to the British Gaming Podcast. It has been a damn while. It is the 1st of October 2017. I'm Sam Webster. With me tonight, as always, Terry Kane.
Deep from the depths of I'm stuttering already. This is a great start. Deep from the depths of the chaos realm, here I am. Hello, everyone.
Here he is. Rock you like a Terry Kane.
This might not be a good thing for you guys. I'm here, but I'm here.
And we have a guest. The one, the only, true story Seamus, who's currently drinking tea.
Sorry, what? I wasn't paying attention. I was just indulging. But yes, glad to be here. You made me sound quite grandiose, which I do appreciate. But it's nice to be here again. Haven't been here since April, if the last time I checked.
I think that's the same for us, actually.
Last time we actually did one of these.
Funny that.
So we do have a topic list put together by Terry. So, first and foremost, the classic. It's always on here. What have we been playing? Then
we should probably mention we're not going to state every game we've been playing since last time, because we'll be here for a few days if that's the case.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah, we're going to try and keep that for like a week. Like, maybe go back a week at most. So we've also got Sonic Forces. What do we think based on the promotional material so far? The Nintendo Switch. What's made it such a breakout success? Terry, you realize that's a leading question. That assumes that we all believe it's a success. And can it keep up its momentum in the long term? Then finally, we have Nintendo banning YouTube live streams as part of the Nintendo Creators Program, because fuck Nintendo. And finally, any listener questions that we get while the stream is going, because we are taking live listener questions.
Also, you say about the loading question as if you haven't had like nearly a week to basically say before we start, hey, I think there's an issue with this.
Yeah, but I just prefer to fuck with you.
Cunt.
And there's a C-bomb.
First one of the night, of which I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of them, aren't they? It's got to be.
Probably.
I would also just like to welcome in the chat, we have Crimson Blitz, who says it's been too long, and I fully agree. And Michael Allen, who says howdy. Oh, it's RGS. Hi, RGS.
I'd noticed that thumbnail a mile away. It's totally RGS.
Right, welcome in, guys. Make sure you got some questions ready for us at the end, because we always take fan questions at the end.
Yes, absolutely. But before we get to the end, we have to start. So, Seamus, you are our guest. What have you been playing this week?
I hope you are sitting comfortably, because this is going to take a while. Me being a streamer who streams 5 days a week, I play an awful lot. But I'll go down the list. Okay, so Monday, I played Kirby 64. Finished that for the first time. Thursday, I finished Link to the Past for the first time. A lot of bumps and hills, but we did that eventually.
You had a fun time with that.
You had a power cut midway through the live stream.
I'm still peeved about that, and that's not the first time it's happened.
And the save didn't work as well.
It just keeps piling up, and now I think I might retroactively hate Link to the Past just because of all these issues.
You can't hate Link to the Past.
Exactly, that's the messed up part. But in terms of what I've been playing off stream, mainly the one I've been spending the most time with is the recently released Cuphead that came out on Friday. Did a whole giveaway stream for that. That was great fun. I finished it off stream. It was a fantastic, phenomenal throwback to beyond video game throwbacks to the 30s. I would highly recommend Cuphead. It's like £15 only. If I say more about it, I'll probably spoil it, so I won't even try.
How is it? Because I looked at it and I immediately thought Mickey Mania.
Well, I mean, he does look like Mickey Mouse. I will give you that, kind of. But it's nothing like Mickey Mania at all. To me, it looks and plays more like a third-person shoot-'em-up. So think Gunstar Heroes or Contra or Metal Slug, those kind of games. It's also a boss rush kind of thing. So it's just boss after boss. There's a few platforming areas too. So it's nothing like Mickey Mania at all. I mean, there's no kind of interactable environments. The character models change a bit. You know, you have a on-rail shooter, you have a on-foot sort of thing. There's 2-player co-op. I don't know if Mickey Mania had that. So yeah, it's not Mickey Mania, but it's a lot of other amalgamations of games from the 16-bit era, I'd say.
Okay. Sounds like a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, it is. Trust me. I've still been playing it, even though I finished it. It's just because there's alternate modes you can get that change the color scheme and everything, which make the game even harder. That are quite hard to get. I won't spoil it, though, but let me tell you, you're in for a challenge in that one. What else have I been playing? I've been playing Fire Emblem Fates a fair bit on the 3DS, getting that thing dusted off for a bit. I'm preparing for Fire Emblem Warriors right now. I liked Awakening of last month. Like, friend gave it to me, and then I played it, gave it back. Now I'm playing Fates. I bought that. It's enjoyable. Bit easy because I bought the easy mode Birthright one, but I've been enjoying it so far. But it's just not as good as Awakening in my mind from what I've played. I've not really been super captivated yet.
Okay.
I would still say, yeah, start with Awakening first. Fate is not a good Fire Emblem starting point, I'd say.
You've only just recently gotten into the Fire Emblem series as well, if I remember correctly, isn't that right?
Exactly. It's only because Fire Emblem Warriors is coming out. That's the only reason.
Fair point. To be honest, I started checking out more Zelda when Hyrule Warriors came out, so I know where you're coming from there.
It does work. It's a very good marketing strategy.
Likewise, Dragon Quest Heroes. I'd only played Dragon Quest 8 before Dragon Quest Heroes. It didn't impair my enjoyment of the game in any way, shape, or form, but I have since bought 9 on the DS, and I've got a bunch of the Japanese Super Nintendo ones now. Which I have methods of playing. Let's put it that way.
Well, there's also the DS remakes of 4 through 6. Then there's the 3DS remakes of 7 and 8. 10 and 11. 10 is coming to the Switch at some point, and 11's coming out in the West next year for Switch and 3DS. So that should be quite exciting. They're very different kind of games as well. One's more of a 2D.
Which is the online one?
Oh, that's 10. 10's the MMO.
Okay.
And like lastly, I would be playing Danganronpa V3 right now, but complications with ordering has made that rather difficult.
So, we love bitching about retailers on here. Come on, tell us the story.
Well, it's not really that much of a story. All I did was I ordered it on Tuesday or Wednesday, pre-ordered it, and then they said it was going to be sent off for Saturday for a stream I was doing. And then the day of, they said, we kind of don't have the copies left, so just hang tight. We won't charge you, but just hang tight. And I said, no. My audience can't hang tight, so I canceled that order post-haste. So I've got to order it from somewhere else now, hopefully for next week.
Basically, exactly what they did to you and your order of Yakuza Kiwami.
It's almost exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I don't care. I'll name them. Frickin' Amazon, they suck.
I am actually waiting on a Prime package from Amazon right now that I ordered yesterday, and apparently went out for delivery at 8:58 this morning. I haven't fucking seen it.
Well, it's Sunday,
so... They turn up anytime till 9 at night because they have their own like drivers and stuff.
But it's Sunday, remember. Even if it's Prime, they probably don't deliver on Sunday.
Oh, they do?
No. It's out for delivery. According to their own tracker, it went out for delivery at 8:58 this morning.
Okay, then forget why I said anything then.
But yeah, like when I had my Kiwami pre-order, they were just like giving me this whole thing of like, oh, well, our stock procurement department needs time to get them in. It's like, yeah, they've had time to get them in for release day. They gave me like a date of like 3 weeks after release date sent to me, and I acting like it was normal. I was like, no, this isn't standard practice. No, I'm cancelling. Oh, we can't cancel that for you. I was like, no, I've just manually cancelled on my thing. Don't worry, you don't have to do any work.
Oh, this is part of what they did with. It was slightly different, but Batman Arkham Knight, when I ordered the collector's edition, which was not fucking worth it, by the way. The statue's over there somewhere. It's piece of shit. They actually delayed that because of Warner Brothers looking at the first run of statues and going, we ain't happy with the quality of that, we ain't sending it out. So they actually sent me a digital download code to redeem it on PSN and start playing the game while waiting on the physical copy. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to go get the thing. Wait there a sec. Wait there.
I remember years ago you reviewed it and you actually mentioned that it's about like 50 gigs or something that could break like internet limits.
Oh no, I have it took me 3 consecutive days when I was still on dial-up to download the game. And with the Season Pass DLC, it's now 74 gigabytes.
And I thought Final Fantasy 15 had a large file size. Whew.
Yeah. Well, 15 on PC is going to be like 180 gig, but that's
I think they said that was incorrect. So I think we're safe.
This is the statue, by the way. and the camera probably doesn't show it very well, but it feels and looks very cheap, especially in terms of the plastic they used. And I'm just thinking, fuck me, if Warner Brothers delayed the original run because they weren't happy with the quality of the statue, and this one they signed off on, what the fuck did that first one look like?
Isn't that just a prototype? It's not even colored in. Is it just a prototype statue?
Is it like a Warhammer statue where you got to paint it?
Something like that. The thing is, as well, if you wanted to, and spoilers for Arkham Knight, chat, when you pre-ordered it, when it went live for pre-orders, the plaque was originally visible, and the plaque reads, "In memory of."
I guess what
gives away the entire fucking ending of Arkham Knight, and that plaque was visible on the pre-order page. Way before the game came out.
Trying to remember when the publisher last time spoiled something that big. I can't think of anything.
Spoilers for a mediocre game.
Well, this just goes to show that you need to get your figures of games, anime, anything, just from other distributors like Max Factory, Figma, Good Smile. Any of those guys actually know what they're doing. Exactly. Like they all know what they're doing.
Never trust the pack-in. Christ, I cancelled the Sonic Mania Collector's Edition because there was no physical copy of the game in there. And when I saw people reviewing the actual statue you got, I was so fucking glad. That thing looked cheap.
It did.
Yeah.
Most of the buttons didn't really do anything. There was like no LEDs, like they could have been on there. I don't even think it was a Mega Drive. I think it was like an amalgamation sort of thing.
And the Mega Drive was inaccurate, to say the least. It was ever so slightly the wrong size, but outside of that, there were bits that are gloss on the actual console that aren't, never mind being matte, aren't even fucking detailed on the statue. And
it was £80 for the thing. It's like £80. I don't even get a physical copy. Fuck you, Sega. Here's
what's telling: the Sonic Generations Collector's Edition that I've got sold out. Can't get hold of it. Still can't get hold of it. People are still charging £200 to £300 for the damn thing, right? The Sonic Mania Collector's Edition, they had that many returned to them that you can still order it from Amazon now, and they've reduced the price. They've brought it down to 70.
Wow,
still too expensive.
I mean, it's a digital game. You'd be better off just paying for the digital game. It'll be so much more cheaper, and you get a good experience regardless. Yeah,
I'd say that special edition is worth like £30 maximum.
I technically got the digital version of the game for free anyway, because remember the whole PSN PayPal thing where anyone who'd pre-ordered something on PSN through PayPal within, the couple of weeks leading up to Sonic Mania, and it was any game, basically got an automatic refund and then got their PSN account blocked for about 48 hours. That whole shitstorm. Well, I'd pre-ordered Sonic Mania through PayPal, so I was affected. But they never figured out how to take the money back again, so I never paid for Sonic Mania.
Wow. Wasn't that just great?
Oh, and hello to Not a Giraffe in chat. Yes, we are back, at least for this episode. As for what happens after this episode remains to be seen.
But now we've gone off on tangent now for Collector's Edition. We need to get back on topic now. Okay, so...
Yes, what have you been doing?
Terry, you haven't been talking too much. Why don't you discuss what you've been playing?
Okay, well, earlier this week for my stream, I was covering the rest of Crash Bandicoot 3 Warp. So last week I did an 80% finish. This week I got up to 100%. Didn't get that final extra 5% because some of those gold relics are just a pain in the ass, and my ability gets 75% when I'm in front of an audience, I swear, as well. So there's that too.
Tomb Raider,
huh?
Tomb Raider.
At that point, I didn't even try. So, I got that through, finished. Last night, me and my friend Pete were tag teaming the 2016 Doom game, which, by the way, is freaking fantastic. Its software has just been so on point with its last 3 games, with the Wolfenstein, New Order, and Old Blood games, and with that Doom. They're so good. Just simple fun. It's not it's not breaking the bounds of innovation of gameplay or storytelling or any of that shit, but it's just stupid, simple fun. And last night I finished off Kingdom Hearts 2 for the first time in what must have been like 10 years. I swear, it's been so long since I finished that. And it's the first time I've done the final mix version as well. And when I was watching the credits, I was like, oh shit, Hayden Panettiere did the voice of Kairi. I did not expect that. Like the freaking cheerleader from Heroes. Right? Sorry?
Yeah. You were saying it as I was asking it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was unexpected, but
She's
started
the lead in Until Dawn.
Sorry?
She's the lead character in Until Dawn.
Really? Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
And last night I started a save on Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which I still have not actually played through yet, so I'm actually going to finally get around to bloody doing it.
Dude,
that
you're not going in chronological order. You're supposed to go to 358/2. Get your DS emulator out and stream that.
Yeah, fuck that. I've watched the movie. I'm fine. Even with Chain of Memories, I skipped that fucking thing and watched a cutscene compilation that someone put on YouTube because Chain of Memories fucking sucks. I don't care.
I played Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories recently too. Forgot to mention that. Thanks for reminding me.
You did, yeah. I caught a little bit of your Chain of Memory stream, but because Peter was around, we were playing Doom. I didn't catch too much of that.
Yeah, compared to forced card games and forceful shootings, I would go with forceful shootings with demons in 2, honestly. I'd rather not be given drafts and being told to whack monsters with keys. Come on now. Let's be fair. Let's be fair here.
Oh, card system in an action-based game? No, it's just wrong.
I don't know. Chain of Memories is incredibly broken. Like, ridiculously broken. You can literally just screw the rules. And
that's not a point in its favor.
Yeah.
Not on top of that as well, you can't break it when you're Riku.
Oh, fuck Riku's campaign.
Oh, yeah, Riku had a campaign.
Yeah, which I rage quit. Having a set deck and overpowered enemies did not make for a fun experience.
You play anything else in the week right now, Terry? Or the month, or what have you?
Oh, no, that's basically kind of... Oh, actually, no. I did get Pokemon Gold on Virtual Console. I was going to go for Silver, but like everyone I know has Silver. I'm just like, you know what? Fine. I'll get the exclusives that no one else is getting. Fine. Fuck you guys. So I've just done Goldenrod on that. I've just been playing that a bit casually. I'm not really sort of getting too invested in that. And Sam, what have you been playing?
Right, I got to think now. My gameplay time is not what it used to be.
I know you got the boxed silver.
Oh yeah, I got boxed gold for my other half because she's got her original Pokemon Gold from Game Boy Color days, Heart Gold, and I thought, well, this will complete the set for her. And I also got myself Silver because I started with Silver. Like I've always gone the blue equivalent, like blue, silver, sapphire, so on and so forth. Even like Pokemon X and Y, I was like, well, the X is colored blue, so I'm gonna go that. And like Pokemon Moon, for example. So yeah, I got myself Silver. I've downloaded it. I haven't actually booted it up yet. My 3DS gathers far too much dust. In terms of actual playing stuff, we bought Final Fantasy IX again because it came to PlayStation 4, and of course I did. And it's one of those games I've played through it on, like, I've got a sealed Black Label copy over there. I've got a Platinum physical for playing. I've got the PlayStation 3, PSP, PS Vita digital download re-release. I've got the PS4 re-release now. I think the only version I don't have is Big Box PC release and the Steam release. But the missus has never played through or even seen a playthrough of 9, so I was like, well, sit the fuck down.
It's gonna be a long day.
Like, don't get attached to Black.
Either, Seamus.
I've never played 9 either. I mean, we need to be converted to the glory of FF9. Come on now.
It's the best one.
Go for that.
It's the best one.
I guess I'll take your word on it then. I've really got to get around to it then, huh?
Yeah, like, I will even post you a physical copy just as long as you play it.
I mean,
that's an offer.
It would be very kind to do that. I'd probably stream it. I streamed FF7 years ago. Actually last year. Meh, I thought it was all right. Didn't finish it, but
I don't know if the offer has ended, but when it launched on PSN, it was like, if you buy it now, it's $13.59 or something instead of the full $15.99.
That's only if you have Plus.
Okay. Which I think Seamus does have Plus, because he plays like Naruto online and stuff.
Well, I haven't played online on the PSN in a long time, but I do have Plus, yes.
There you go. Problem solved. Oh, Michael in chat, yes, do start with FF9. It's fantastic. I can't praise that game highly enough. Thanks to Seamus's streams, I caved and bought Kingdom Hearts for how many times now? I'm trying to think. I've got the PS2 original of 1 and 2. I've got 1 and 2 Black Label sealed, because we came across those for like $7.99, and me and the other half just looked at each other and went, yeah, sod it, and had those. We've got the PlayStation 3 HD remasters, and now I have the PS4 HD remasters, so I started 1 again. Not done much so far, just like we're in Alice in Wonderland, which is not the highlight of the game.
Yeah.
You forgot one game. You forgot Recoded. That's pretty much Kingdom Hearts 1.5 as is. It is. You just go everywhere else, and it's the same sort of game, except there's glitches everywhere. It's like they didn't even finish the game, and they're using that as a plot device.
Zing.
How many times have we played through that set of worlds now? Like Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories.
1, Chain of Memories, 358 over 2 days, and Recoded 4 times.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's a bit much. So
and that's why I never finished half of those games.
The big time sink, however, has been Yakuza 0, which I finished, and Yakuza Kiwami, or however the fuck it's pronounced, which I've now... Terry bought Kiwami while I was still playing through and finishing up 0, and he started before me, and I am now 2 chapters ahead of him in Kiwami.
Hey, I got distracted by Kingdom Hearts. That was actually a recent purchase for me as well, because I got it for like 14 quid on a flash sale. So I was just like, yes.
So are all these distractions, not playing this, everyone getting Kingdom Hearts here, is it just my fault? Because I'm the one who got it first?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
You were showing it off on stream. You were talking to me about 60 frames per second, no loading times, yada, yada. And then I happened to buy it. That is not a coincidence. I blame you.
When you covered 2.8 like earlier this year, months ago, I was like, shit, I need to get back into the series.
And then 2 months later, they got a collection there. Boom, sorted.
Yeah.
And chat is right. The guys behind the Yakuza games are making a Fist of the North Star game.
It's looking good too, I must say.
Oh, it's a good fit. It's a very good fit. It'll be amazing to see, no doubt. But yeah, I think Kiwami is a weird one because it's a remake of the first game. It has all of the pacing issues that the narrative of the first game had. They have to be faithful to an extent. In the first game, they had a lot of shit that they still needed to figure out.
Yeah.
And especially playing it straight after 0. Like, 0 was this fantastic celebration. It was a game that knew exactly what it wanted to be. It was stylistic. It was flamboyant. It was fun as fuck. And, you know, like, that game had me hooked in a way that games rarely do grab me. And Kiwami, like, a lot of reviewers described it as, oh, it feels like an expansion pack to 0 rather than a proper remake and celebration of the first game. And having played them back to back as I am, I can really feel that. Like, I can feel the reused assets. I can feel how much it's like 0 diet, if that makes sense.
Kind of makes me glad I'm starting with Kiwami and then doing 0 afterwards, then, if that's the case, even if it's chronologically incorrect.
Yeah. Oh, and we've got our first question for the end of the stream from Sonic Radio. So we'll note that one down, and then when we get to the questions, we can answer that.
I'll get them down. I've got a notepad page open anyway. I'll get it down.
Hey,
oh, nice one.
Famous. Outside of that, there are... I'm trying to think now in my head. There are 2 other games that I've played this week. And I say 2. One of them is a magic little box containing 21 games, which is, of course, Super Nintendo Mini I got lucky in that Guru Larry Bundy Jr., whatever you know him by, gave me the heads up when the Argos pre-orders went live back at the end of June, and I managed to snag myself a Super Nintendo Mini for $69.99. And we've been playing it pretty much since it arrived. It's been on the living room TV constantly. The selection of games is fantastic. I mean, there's stuff like Earthbound and the Super Mario RPG, which did not get cartridge releases here. They didn't. And like, I'm in a position where I didn't buy a Wii U, so I didn't really have the option of the Virtual Console re-releases. So this is my first time properly playing a couple of the games that are on there.
To be honest, Virtual Console is not really very well supported, especially over here anyway.
Also, speaking of Virtual Console, did you hear that they're actually going to shut down the Wii Shop channel in 2019? I believe on the original Wii, I believe.
Yeah, when I read that, I was surprised it's still going.
Yeah, what Terry said, I'm surprised they haven't done that already.
I mean, I'm guessing because you have to get streaming platforms like Netflix and such from there, and people who still use that may need to download that before it goes off.
Yeah. You know, like what's very apparent about to go back to the Super Nintendo for a moment, what's really great about it is that my kids are getting to the age where they can get into gaming. Like, they're the age now that me and my little brother started. And we've really struggled to find games that are suitable for them and also that they can play. Because, like, mostly my daughter's been using my old Game Boy Advance SP because there's not too many buttons to it. Whereas if I give her a PlayStation 4 controller, she's overwhelmed. So what we do have, which is very handy, is the Super Nintendo Mini, where the games are very simple, the controller's very simple, and you know, she can just play and have a go. Because like, outside of the rare like Sonic Mania, there's not really been anything she can play. And like, the night that the Super Nintendo Mini arrived, I got home from work. You know, we were playing Mario Kart past the pad. The two kids' sibling rivalry sparked up immediately. You know, the other half took over for one of the kids. It's like a post went up on my private Facebook of, oh, now they're getting mummy to do it for them. That's not fair. And then it turned into basically a race between the kids, turned into a race between me and the other half. And it was just, we've not done that around video games before. I think there is something about that era of games that lends itself to a family sat around a TV just having fun.
I see what you mean, like especially the simplicity of the controls as well. It's easy to see why more and more kids play a lot of tablet games just because they're not overwhelmed by a shit ton of buttons.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's one of those things where it just brought all of us together around video games in a way that's not happened before. So it's definitely worth the money so far.
Well, you got to admit, it was very smart on them to actually package two controllers this time around. They didn't do that for the NES Classic back then, so they've actually done it this time. That actually makes that possible.
Absolutely, and I skipped on the NES Classic because, like, the 8-bit games, I think they go too far the other way. I think they lack intricacy to the point that to go back to them now, you might have 5 minutes with each game before the novelty wears off. And I think at the 16-bit era, that's where you get to the point where there's enough substance that you don't have that problem.
And the thing is as well, like, with the NES Classic, like in the UK, like we didn't really give a shit about the NES. Everyone was either like Master System or ZX Spectrum at that point, and then we moved over to consoles with 16-bit stuff.
As someone who's played and beaten the original Zelda, oh, you are completely right on the whole lacking novelty thing.
Oh god, yeah.
You poor tortured bastard.
Hey, at least I didn't finish Zelda 2, okay? At least I lasted 2 hours, and I just said, yeah, the novelty just died, along with a lot of my spirit.
Life's too short.
But that does, of course, bring us to the final game that I've played this week, and will be playing at 7 p.m. tonight on Twitch. I've been live streaming the Ratchet & Clank series, starting with the first game. I plan to continue that immediately after the podcast around about 7 p.m. So come find us on Twitch. I'll drop a link nearer the time in chat.
Also, all the links for like our Twitch channels, YouTube channels, etc., all in the video description already. So you're covered there, guys.
Bless the fellow who did that.
We call him the mysterious admin.
Who just so happens to look like
worse.
Who just so happens to look and sound like Terry Chaos. What a coincidence.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
it's my evil twin, Terry Order.
That was terrible. But speaking of chaos,
I'm proud of that.
you shouldn't be. Speaking of chaos, however, the Sonic Forces promotional material, that's had some reactions.
Yeah, there's been some very adamant defenders of that horrible, horrible casino forest zone saying,
One step at a time. One step at a time. Let's go back to the start and then let's work from there. Let's go back to the July reveal in the 25th anniversary and go from there. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves.
I like Seamus. This is why we have him on.
Okay, so back in that whole disaster of a stream for the 25th anniversary last year, one of the only good things in there were Sonic Mania was announced there and was playable on the show floor there. And the last one was Sonic Forces got announced, but we didn't know what it was at the time. Yeah, it was nice to see classic Sonic again, I guess, in pre-rendered form. It kind of looked like just they're doing this whole real serious story again. Months later, we didn't know much about it. They confirmed the name. They're using the boost system. Classic Sonic is exactly the same, and they added a new character in this pre-rendered sequence just before E3, which turns out to be a custom character. Fancy that. Now everyone's persona can now be brought to the forefront.
It's like deviant art became playable.
Yeah.
So then after that, E3 came by, and then we actually got a tease as to more of the plot, I guess. We got a few more levels. It's Green Hill Zone again with classic Sonic, the kind of city level with Sonic, and another Green Hill with the custom character. But the interesting thing was they brought back the old villains again. They brought back Metal Sonic. They brought back Shadow the Hedgehog. They brought back Chaos. And they brought back that character that no one remembers from that one game. I'll let you guys figure that one out.
Oh, yeah, the orange guy.
But also they announced the new villain there, which we later learned was Infinite at a certain point, who had a very familiar voice actor for those of you who are in the realm of video games and anime affair, but I don't know his name by heart, unfortunately, sadly. But then they revealed more stuff. They revealed the music in the game. The music is just phenomenal right now. They've mainly just been showing the music for a fair bit, not really been focusing on gameplay. And then I think early last month, they kind of accidentally leaked that, oh yeah, Shadow's going to be like a DLC character and everything. That's going to be pretty neat.
Yeah, at first I was a bit annoyed by that, but when they announced it's free DLC, I was like, okay, I'll let them off.
And then that comes to today where we are now, the whole new Casino Fortress or whatever they're calling it zone. That was the first new classic Sonic stage we've seen since Green Hill. And this is where everything starts. Okay, no, first off, there's that. And then secondly, there was the pre-order bonuses you get. Well, granted, there were the costumes from certain Sega games like Jet Set Radio, Puyo Puyo, and Knights, and Persona 5 because they published it in Japan. So
did you see the awful controller skins?
And that is another issue there. Why did they even? I don't even think that's in the European version. You get the skins and the art cards. So yeah, they kind of got screwed over, didn't they?
Yeah, especially with the Switch ones, because Nintendo have gone on record saying don't put stickers on your Switch controllers; it will damage the stuff on it.
So why are they doing it then?
Because Sega is stupid.
They weren't stupid enough to let their fans make their game for them. They weren't stupid enough then.
No, but they're stupid enough to put DRM in, like just putting that out there.
There's been a few conflicting emotions on this one. Michael has an interesting theory in chat. Infinite is going to be the OC character, but from an evil future or something.
Great, we got time travel again. It didn't work in Sonic 06. It's not going to work now.
Kind of worked in Mania.
Well, that's different because they had none of the people involved in the Sonic team involved. So, of course it worked then.
Seamus is sort of hitting the nail on the head here. When the initial reveal, sort of to do his timeline thing, when the initial reveal came out, it was like, here's Sonic Mania. Here's everything that we could possibly do right. Here's Sonic Forces. We haven't learned a fucking thing.
Oh, burn.
Now that £28 price tag for the new Sonic Forces makes a lot more sense now. It's like they're losing confidence.
It really does.
What worries me is that we had Knack 2 released at $24.99. We had Uncharted The Lost Legacy released at $24.99. Now, those made sense because they were billed as these aren't full AAA games. These are, like in Uncharted's case, it's like this was originally just going to be a story DLC that got way out of scope and ended up being its own game. But we're not going to charge you the full $49.99. So when Sonic Forces came about, and my pre-order right now is sitting at $27.99, and we'll get to the pre-order. I do sort of hesitate a bit because going for $27.99 sort of implies that they don't have a whole lot of faith in their product. And apparently, I thought I'd ordered the vanilla version. No, apparently that $27.99 is for the bonus edition, which includes those art cards you mentioned. So what the vanilla costs, I do not know.
I don't even think there is a vanilla one. I think that's just the pre-order bonus version.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Okay, fair enough.
But in regards to the prices, though, like you refer to those other examples, like maybe in this case, like they're just sort of thinking, like, well, we put this budget into it, so let's charge it like what those other games did.
Yeah, it's certainly a case for like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, or I've probably butchered the name. That releases a budget title from Ninja Theory. Was it Ninja Theory?
Yeah, it was Ninja Theory.
And that's done incredibly well. And people were like trying to call it indie AAA or AA, neither of which really fit. And it's just a studio going, let's make a normal game. Let's do it ourselves. Yeah. Let's not have the overblown budgets. Let's put it out digitally and just see how we do. And they did phenomenally well.
Yeah, it's like a middle of the road kind of budget.
I wouldn't exactly call it a normal game because it's dealing with the psychosis of someone through mental illness. So it's not exactly a normal game. It's more of a experience, I would say. I've never played it, but that's what I'm getting from all the promotional materials and people commenting on it. It's more of an experience with action elements in it.
Okay. But it sort of makes me feel like if that's the price they're going for, then they might not have a lot of confidence in their product, which worries me.
Like, yeah, to be fair, I think based on their reputation, they really shouldn't have much faith in their products, to be fair. I mean, they're so bloody hit and miss. It's unreal.
Okay, so let's look at this another way. So we sort of got that reveal, right? Which doesn't bode a lot of hope. And then I'm looking at the trailers. I'm like, just call it Sonic Generations 2, but we screwed it up. Because that's what it is. And then we get to obviously the Casino Forest trailer where, like, the flow isn't there, the visuals aren't there. It just looks like it would be stop, start, and awkward to play. It doesn't feel like, even watching it, it doesn't feel good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just looks kind of generic and a bit bland.
It's like they meshed Casino Night and Labyrinth Zone together, and then boom, you got a new level. It reminds me a lot of Sonic 4 in that way.
I get what you mean. The aesthetic in Sonic 4 was fucking terrible. Well, it's episode 1 at least.
Exactly, and the Sonic 4 comparisons really do have me quite concerned. Overall, I think this game is going to miss the mark in every way possible, but I have it pre-ordered. The reason being is that, like, Sonic the Hedgehog is like that abusive relationship I just can't get out of. Like, it used to be so good, and things like Mania show me that it could be good again. But every time I give it a chance, it just hurts me so bad.
Yeah. One concern that none of us have brought up as well is, like, so the OC character, like, everyone's been all like, oh, cool, you can create your own character, that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, that aspect seems fine to me. But the actual gameplay of the OC character, which is something that doesn't seem to get discussed much at all, looks so fucking slow-paced and so fucking... ugh. It just looks like it has no flow or anything to it. It looks like it's basically going to be like the Knuckles treasure hunting stage of Sonic Forces. It's going to be that stage you just don't want to fucking do.
You know what I kind of think about that? I kind of think about this for a sec. Sonic Boom, yeah. Let's just remember that game exists. All right. So we got Sonic Boom: Rise of the Lurk that came out. It's a 3D platformer, had some 2D sections involved. That's exactly what this character is as well. He's got like weapons and power-ups, and there's like action sections there where you stop and take everything on, just like Sonic Boom. And would you believe it? He has a grappling hook. It's not the inner beam from Sonic Boom, but it's close enough to it, and it's a pivotal gameplay mechanic from what we've seen. It's like they're taking the concepts from Rise of Lurk and slapping them onto a new character. That's what I'm
Pretty
seeing.
much, yeah. What it makes me think of is if Ratchet and Clank took a massive shit and they used that shit for a level.
Okay, let's bring this around. So we've got Sonic Radio in chat saying that they feel like Forces is going to decide the fate of the franchise and could be a lot better when it gets released. Now, it's true to say that what we're seeing is in development material and it could get better. However, this thing comes out mid next month, so it's not far off. So what we're seeing is probably not going to change dramatically between now and then. However, on the side of it could decide the fate of the franchise, Sonic is riding on a lot of good vibes from Mania, a lot of goodwill. And like Seamus just mentioned, we had Boom, that didn't kill it. We had 06, that didn't kill it. I don't know if Sonic can be killed at this point.
To be honest, Sonic's had bad games for absolute years. I mean, we had Labyrinth back in the 90s, for instance. You know, like it's always been
Labyrinth and not that other game that you like to shit on.
Yeah. Moving on from that, but Sonic's always been a series that's been inconsistent in quality. It's like people like to think like, oh, back in the 90s it was always perfect, but it really wasn't. Yeah, we had those Mega Drive titles that were amazing, but then we also had shit like Labyrinth. We had Sonic the Fighters.
We had shit on the Mega Drive. Hello, Spinball.
Yeah,
we're not gonna diss Sonic R because that game is perfect in every way.
Hello, Sonic 3D. We had shit on the Mega Drive.
Yeah, I thought you weren't invoking that game.
Hey, if you're going to do Spinball, I'm going to invoke 3D.
And I'm going to invoke Sonic Schoolhouse because I can. That game exists, remember?
Schoolhouse. Oh, good God, yeah.
So what we're saying is Forces will not put any nails in any coffins anytime soon.
No, it really won't. Because the thing is, it's still going to sell. Even if it's really, really shit, it's still going to sell.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm buying it. You're buying it. Seamus is buying it.
I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I will.
I might buy used though if it turns out to be out of shit.
But we're all saying like, oh yeah, this game, it looks like it's going to be terrible. Every single one of us is agreeing that we're buying it.
for different reasons, I'm thinking too.
Probably, yeah.
No, we are not. We've done several races, but chat, we are not doing a race on Sonic Schoolhouse.
Can you even race in that game?
Who can learn first? Who can do that? I don't know. I'm guessing like there's a math test or something.
I'm guessing it'd be more of an endurance test. How long can we last?
If there is a math test, I'm not going up against Seamus.
Oh God, endurance test. That sounds like when we tried to race Sonic Advance 2 and that failed. Like the only one of us that was enjoying that was me.
Yeah, because you were winning.
Well, no, I actually genuinely like that game.
Ugh. Right, moving on. So, the Nintendo Switch. Terry feels it's been a breakout success. Would like to discuss what's made it a breakout success and can it keep up its momentum?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's start with we obviously the elephant in the room is their last console, the Wii U, which was not quite so much of a success. So obviously that's a comparative basis. To
I don't know. They made a good paperweight.
It's a good homebrew machine. I'll give it that. But
I'm just loving a hashtag that's appeared in chat. Hashtag make these 3 British shit posters play Sonic Schoolhouse together because why not?
Can you even post on Twitter? Is that like 140 characters?
That's the character limit right there in the tag.
Oh goodness. But yeah, so like one of the things that people are sort of saying that is a point in Switch's favor is the fact that it's getting third-party support at the moment, which that point alone I'm not really sure is really a good indication, because even the Wii U had third-party support at the start of its life cycle until like the lack of technical functional ability of the thing like just ends up being preventative to third-party developers putting ports of mainstream games on it.
So like, you got a copy of Watch Dogs.
Huh?
There is a version of Watch Dogs on the Wii U.
Well, yeah, but Ubisoft releases their things on everything.
But then with Watch Dogs, that even got on PS3 and 360. So if those two consoles can run something, so can the Wii U, to be fair. Like, it was at the point where it was getting ports of last-gen games, essentially. And that's what... And, like, the original Wii, that was getting the same thing as well. So we're getting a lot of PS2 games on that at the start. But then as you get sort of further into the life cycle, where it's specifically that gen, it tends to go a little bit differently. But at the moment, we seem to be getting a good sign of games running, not as good as like the PS4, PC, Xbox One counterparts, but, you know, still playable. So we're getting stuff like Doom on the way and Wolfenstein 2, that kind of thing. And it looks like developers are sort of starting to take note of it and the whole appeal of like the portability aspect of it. And in terms of like the sort of games that are being put out by first party as well, it seems like Nintendo are sort of really, you know, digging deep to try and go all out this time. They're not just sort of half-assing it.
I don't know, I would call the launch nothing but half-assed. I think they probably should have waited until Christmas this year before launching the Switch. Reason being, like, you look at what people are playing on it right now. Zelda Breath of the Wild. If you've got a Wii U, then you can play it anyway. So it's not.
That's if you have a Wii U. That's a very big.
People have been modding it too, and it's what they've done in the modding scene of Breath of the Wild on Wii U is just look it up. It's pretty hilarious.
So you got Breath of the Wild, which is not a console exclusive, because you can get it on Nintendo's old hardware. Mario Kart 8 again.
That wasn't a launch title.
Oh, that should have been what it was called. Mario Kart 8 ellipses again.
And then you've got Splatoon 2, which from what I'm hearing from people is not a launch title. But so again, half the games I'm mentioning weren't even out. I think it launched with, you know, Breath of the Wild and a Bomberman game. That was about it.
Okay, but then look, what did PS4 have at launch or Xbox One?
Exactly, not that much more.
Infamous Second Son.
That wasn't a launch title. That came out in 2014.
That's such a system seller.
That came out in 2014, early 20. That was not a launch title.
Yeah,
but it still was very good. I won't deny that.
Yeah, no console has really had as like that big of a launch lineup. Let's face it. And to be honest, yeah, Breath of the Wild wasn't an exclusive to the Switch, but it's probably one of the biggest launch titles a console has had.
Okay. What I was about to say about Splatoon 2 is exactly what Nort Nugent / Not a Giraffe has put in chat. Splatoon 2 is good, but mostly the same game as 1. A lot of people have been saying it feels like a re-release of 1 with maybe a couple maps added on. So again, not great. Mario Odyssey is the first thing on that machine that's made me look at it and go, huh, yeah, maybe. And, you know, it's not out until nearer Christmas.
Actually, it comes out this month, the 27th, so it's very close.
Jesus, that soon?
Yeah, I know. It's been around quick, huh?
So, do you mind if I opine on this? Because unlike both of you, and unlike Richie, who should be here, like Richie, he should be here for this, but sadly
fuck
he's not.
You, Richie.
Because I guess I should just say the elephant in the room there, because I think I have a lot to say about it. Because I actually own a Switch. I've been an owner of one since Splatoon 2 launched, so I have a lot I can say about the device after having a few months of playtime on it.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Yes.
So I can say that the launch was a little bit rough because there was this very, very, very large gap in between Breath of the Wild coming out and then Splatoon 2, because Mario Kart 8 was just a re-release, if we're being honest, with some new stuff in there. It's not really too much to write home about. There wasn't too many like standout titles on there since then. Their third parties weren't really pushing too much at the time. So
Rayman Legends just got re-released on the Switch. Like, there aren't enough versions of Rayman Legends out there.
They delayed the game intentionally to get it to all the versions when it first came out. So, yeah, exactly. Why would we need another one? The PS4 version is the superior one from what I've seen. Literally. It's not exactly a definitive version, let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, like, any version of that game is going to run fine anyway, like, whether it's Wii U, PS4, PC. It's a 2D side-scroller. It's not exactly technically demanding.
I'm pretty sure my 3-year-old son's Leapfrog tablet could run Rayman Legends.
Maybe.
But on that front, I think they certainly did a very wise move partnering the Switch with Breath of the Wild at the time, because it would have been a system seller regardless. The Wii U, most people don't really use that anymore. They might have sold it off. It's a great way to actually get that going again. It's strange that there wasn't a bundle with it, though. I mean, it was a launch schism, so I mean, it would make sense to financially to have them separate, but it just made it harder to get both that and the game, because from what the figures have been saying, the buyer rates between Switch owners and Breath of the Wild is like close to 100%. So practically everyone who has that system has Breath of the Wild. So you can see where there's a lot of smarts in that. The Zelda game people have been waiting like a good 3 or 4 years for coming out on their new system. And yeah, there was a large gap in between, a lot of technical issues like sync problems. That's just standard with the console release. People will nitpick it to hell and back, and then they get revised later on.
Get a Switch at launch got Zelda anyway.
Exactly, because it was over. Like Nintendo just can't keep up with demand and everything. You could call that a business strategy, but it's not exactly the best business strategy.
I mean, technical problems, like, they happen at launch for a lot of consoles. I mean, freaking hell, look at the Xbox 360. They had Red Ring of Death going on past launch for a good few years.
There's nothing as bad as that. I'll say that right now.
Yeah.
Nothing anywhere close to that has happened since. Thank God for that.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
But
to be fair, they're good at making reliable hardware. I found that.
But after that lull period, when July hit, I believe it just skyrocketed a fair bit. More stuff was coming out. We had a Splatoon 2 just came out. For people like myself who never played the first one, it was a perfect benchmark to get into. And the indie titles are actually getting a fair bit of traction as well. There's a lot of indie titles going on there, some third-party ports, and
they got Steam Mod Dig 2 before the PS4 did. I mean, only, I think it was about 4 days, but I was still kind of miffed about that. I was looking forward to Steam Mod Dig 2. I was like, damn, no Switch players getting a whole 4 days on me.
I'll tell you what, as well, they've been getting a lot of physical copies of indie games as well, like more so than PS4 and stuff, which has been interesting. Like, I've been seeing more and more of those pop up, and I'm not talking about limited run game stuff, screw them, but like actual, releases.
I think we'd need an entire podcast just to fucking bitch about limited run games.
Yeah, but like, even like, for example, Cave Story Plus got a physical release, and like that's the first time I've ever seen that physical anywhere.
It's grand, isn't it? Giving indie games a new life on that sort of thing. It means that they can develop console games and take it portably. They see the indie market has certainly seen the potential of it, considering, well, there was an entire stream focused on them last month, and it was pretty successful for the most part.
Okay.
But speaking of that further, there's the future of the system now. Like, autumn and winter is going to be the deciding factor of this thing's success, because the huge stuff, the things they've been promoting since the Switch was announced, are coming out. We've got Mario Odyssey, of course, that comes out in late October. We got Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that was confirmed in December. That's going to be big as well. Then there's like Kirby is getting there as well. And then we've also got other kind of franchises getting involved too. LA Noire recently is getting a port there, which is very surprising. Revelations 1 and 2 is coming out. There's that Square Enix RPG title, which I don't know the name of, Code something or other. All I know is because apparently has a hooker class in there based off the trailer we saw. That's the only thing I can kind of remember, and it's being made by Square Enix. So
I remember that. That was the best.
I believe Rhyme is coming out there as well. There's a port of Rhyme. There's Fire Emblem Warriors coming out to the Switch and 3DS, but let's be honest, the Switch version is going to be the one that sells more. And as you mentioned before, we got Doom coming out to the Switch as well, which is going to be huge.
And Wolfenstein 2.
Wolfenstein. I thought it was the new order. I don't think it's the second.
No, it is the new. It's the new Colossus. It's the new one that's coming to it.
Okay, so you've talked a lot there about like what the Switch has got coming, and that again is my current problem with it. What is coming, not what is there. So,
but again, it's its first year. So look at the PS4 in its first year. What did that have?
The proposition for the Switch right now, right? It's a home console that you can take on the go with you. Now that should appeal to me quite well, because as you both know, my commute to work is an hour and a half to 2 hours each way on the bus. So that's 3 to 4 hours of gaming time I could get per day, which is currently filled as best as it can be by my 3DS/Vita/PSP. Now, the Switch has not been purchased. I've got no plans to purchase it anytime soon, for a number of reasons. One, the price point. It's too damn high. $279.99 is way more than I'm currently willing to pay. I would have paid the original price that came out, the $199.99 that I believe GameSeek honored for pre-orders who did that. That is about what I would pay. With regards to the selection, like what I would actually be playing on that bus back and forth, yeah, you got Breath of the Wild, but outside of that, I mean, like Splatoon 2 is mainly an online multiplayer game. That bus journey, I ain't gonna have the connection. It's not gonna happen, right? So that's out of the running. Until Mario comes out, really, there's not a whole lot on there that's particularly strong. It's just, it should be hitting all the right buttons for me, and it's just not.
Well, no, but like it's not hitting the buttons for you personally, but like that doesn't mean it's not a breakout success in regards to how it's doing in the market currently. Like at the moment, the thing's got so much hype around it, and there's a lot of people really interested in it.
And considering that the whole, there's not stuff coming, but they're coming this month. All the stuff is coming, like that is the main hitters is coming out in this month or November, pretty much. And that's, I think, the main starting of the holiday season itself. I've got a lot of games I'm looking forward to myself. So, of course, I purchased it myself. So I have the stream to keep up, but I also want to actually play these games too. So it's all about a different strokes for different folks kind of mentality. There may not be too much stuff out there that may interest you, but maybe when the price goes down perhaps, or there's more things interested, that's good, because there's a lot of stuff coming out in early 2018 too. So maybe you might want to wait further. But those of you who are curious now, who want to get it for Mario Odyssey, I would strongly suggest getting the bundle that's coming out on the day of. Yeah, the dual red Joy-Con things don't exactly look the best in my mind. I kind of like the asymmetry of it, but at least you're getting that. You're getting it at a decent price point, about £300 or so. You're not going to be paying too much for it, and by that point, after it comes out, it's going to skyrocket in price. I bought the Splatoon 2 bundle, and that skyrocketed not long after it, so it's a very wise move in my mind. But I understand completely that it's just, if there's not enough stuff that you want to see in the foreseeable future, then yeah.
I will review it. I will review it at the end of May, because my birthday is the end of May. So if around about then there's a bundle with at least one game in around about the 240 mark, then it's a maybe.
See, for me, like, I've not got any plans to buy it anytime soon, because, like, I mean, I've actually got a PS4 a couple of months ago. I was waiting for a while for more stuff to come to that, because, frankly, I didn't think there was enough on that at the time for a good while to warrant buying it. Bearing in mind, I've got a PC, so multi-platform games I was sorted. So, I didn't think there was enough exclusives to warrant me buying it. Eventually, enough came out, and I was like, okay, now I'm ready. And it's the same with the Switch. I'm going to wait for that as well, because at the moment, I don't feel like there's enough to warrant buying it for me personally, but there will be in time. But as for right now, people who like to invest early in these things, there's a lot of people that have that interest, evidently, that are investing it early, and it is doing quite well.
I think with technology, and this is generalizing now, but technology as a whole, early investors tend to get screwed. They tend to get the hardware revisions that have the problems because they've not been discovered by having it out to a wide user base yet. They pay the highest price. They have the smaller software library. That software never costs more than when it does new. The prices only go down on a lot of this stuff. So I don't really see the appeal of early adoption other than the bragging rights of saying, I got this.
I don't know. Having Sonic Mania on the go is pretty alluring. I don't know. Maybe you might. I'm just, just saying it'd be pretty good to have them on the go. This isn't working, is it? I'm not very convincing.
Not even a little bit.
I tried, damn it, I tried.
But on the technical side of things, though, with the Switch, one thing that some people have found to be a bit of an issue is, so the game cards, at the moment, the largest game card that they have is 32 gigabytes, like the ones that come on the game, like the ones that the games come on. Apparently, they're working on a 64 gig version soon. So you get in things like, for example, NBA 2K18, they've had to make it so that the save file, just the save file, nothing else, is 5 fucking gigabytes. Like they're really, really struggling to fit like as much content as they can on that 32 gig limitation. And on top of that, people are being forced to buy these extra SD cards as well, like to be able to download certain games as well, because like the Switch's memory, even just for that one game, isn't enough in some instances. Like the new Doom, for instance, what they're doing with that is, which is actually quite a smart way of getting around these limitations, they're putting all the single player onto the cartridge, but the multiplayer is going to be an optional download. So like in years to come, when the multiplayer isn't working anymore, the servers are down, all that stuff, and you're not playing the multiplayer anyway, like it's not an issue. So you can still play a single player in years to come and archive it. But yeah, on the technical side of that, that's been a bit of a talking point at the moment.
Though, to be honest with you, it could have been worse. Do you remember the Vita years ago? They had this exact same problem. They had even less onboard memory than the Switch did, and it pretty much required you to get not even just standard SD cards, proprietary Vita cards that were exclusive to this thing. So it's even worse. It could have been a lot worse. Let's think about it in that regard.
True, yeah. At least they had the sense to use micro SD. That proprietary memory system is literally the only reason that I'm not buying a Vita, and I'll never buy a Vita, because fuck Sony for that.
Didn't the PSP have a similar issue, and in the end, someone developed like an adapter that would you could like slide a micro SD card into it, and it would read it as a memory stick Pro Duo anyway?
Yeah, they had a
but the thing with that, though, is Pro Duos are notably bigger than micro SD cards, so there was a way to do that, whereas the, the proprietary bullshit thing that the PS Vita uses is actually smaller than micro SD.
Though then again, it was like the mid-2000s. Sony could actually do that sort of thing with a system that was a lot more powerful than the competition with the PSP, so they had the kind of chance to do that. But now with the Vita that came out about, like, what, 10 years later or so, it didn't exactly work out too well.
Plus, like, back then, it was kind of the sort of Wild West of memory cards, is it, essentially, really? So,
I mean,
like,
all the onboard data was on the DS cartridge for the competition's sake. It was all on the card. There was no internal memory for that thing until the DSi came out.
So, yeah, but back then, like, SD card wasn't as big as it is now, so that Sony could get away with doing that. Plus, on top of that, they were using the memory cards for their phones as well, back when their phones were relevant.
So I'm just giggling. Apparently, I look like Jimmy Carr.
He laughs a bit like him sometimes too.
Sorry, we were talking about memory cards.
Oh, yeah. But we kind of went off topic. Switch.
I think it's worth it because I do like the stuff that's coming out. But again, understand that there's not things for everybody right now, and it will probably be wise to wait until a lot of this stuff gets priced down. But keep in mind, this is Nintendo we're talking about, and Nintendo games rarely get price drops in the first place until they release their classics range. So keep that in mind.
That's true. I mean, as a consumer personally, I tend to buy things based on what's already out rather than what's going to be coming, kind of thing. Like, well, actually kind of based on both, really, because I don't want to buy a dead system, let's face it. But you know what I mean? Like, if there's not something for me already while I'm waiting for the other stuff, then I'm a bit kind of eh.
It's one of those things where I'd sort of like one eventually. I'm not going to be jumping on it anytime soon.
Yeah, well, you just bought a Nintendo platform, so...
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, those things are already being fucking scalped, scumbags, but yeah.
Oh, Christ, yeah, people are already asking between 120 and 200 for them.
Someone's been asking for $600 for one.
It better be gold-plated, otherwise it's not worth it.
Yeah, by the way, don't buy from scalpers. If you buy from scalpers, you're as bad as the scalpers, and you help keep that economy going.
Agreed, and I think it's one of those things where, like they've said, more stock is coming. You look at the Switch, to bring us back round, when it first came out, people could not get hold of the things. Right now, like the Mario Odyssey pre-orders have been live on the Nintendo store for several days, and they're still there. You can still go get them. You know, it's becoming a lot easier at the moment to go get a Switch.
Yeah, Nintendo are learning the rules of supply and demand, specifically the supply part.
They already knew the rules. They purposefully manipulated it to generate hype and make it seem elusive to try and drive impulse purchases. And admittedly, it worked to a degree. Had there not been the fiasco with the NES Mini, I probably wouldn't have acted so quickly when Guru Larry told me that the Super Nintendo Mini pre-orders were live on Argos. He told me I knew I didn't have time to think about it, and I bought on impulse. Without Nintendo's usual reputation, then I probably would have sat on it for a couple of days and considered it. As it stands, it was a very worthwhile purchase, and I've gotten more than my money's worth already.
But then think about how many people are paying scalpers that could be paying Nintendo.
Oh yeah, there's definitely money on the table that Nintendo are just letting go.
Yeah, which, by the way, unless there's anything else to say about the Switch, on top of them letting money on the table go, they're also letting some free advertising go.
Talk about a segue. You nailed it. You nailed it.
My job. Also, I'd just like to explain, we had a question in chat about what a scalper is. A scalper is someone who buys something at price A that they think is going to sell out or be very popular, or have an autofocus on it that doesn't work. Thank you.
Screw you, scalpers, and your autofocus tampering ways.
I aimed towards my camera, clearly. Who then sell it for more. So people who are getting hold of Super Nintendo mini pre-orders, Nintendo Switch pre-orders, amiibos tend to be prone to this, and then they immediately put their pre-order on eBay for 2 or 3 times the price they paid. That's a scalper. There was a question about what it is in chat, so I'll answer that.
Basically they're scum.
Yeah.
So basically, going back to the segue. So it was a topic you actually posted earlier, Sam, from that NeoGAF thread. NeoGAF, but whatever.
Yeah. So if you're in the, with YouTube videos for Nintendo, they were taking down any videos of their games, and they were forcing people into this Nintendo Creators Program where you either did a 70-30 split for revenue from all of your videos across your entire channel, or you did it was something like an 80-20 split for individual videos featuring Nintendo products. And even then, there was a list of specific games that you could and couldn't cover.
Yeah.
That just got shittier because I've now extended that from pre-recorded videos to also encompass live streams. So they're now saying, yeah, you cannot live stream Nintendo games on the YouTube platform, and apparently they're coming after Twitch even as well, which is just shitty. Personally,
Twitch is the largest streaming site out there. I know this as well as you guys do because you stream on Twitch. I stream on Twitch. I'm sure people in the audience probably stream or watch on Twitch. There, we know there's a large audience there, and they're just
links in the description.
Stop at you.
I'll put it this way. I got into Danganronpa purely because of Seamus's streams. I bought, as we talked about earlier, I was on the fence about getting Kingdom Hearts HD again on PS4, and it was Seamus's stream that pushed me into the buy category.
Wow, I've got a lot of power in my hands, and I never even knew it. I was too clueless to know.
But what I just don't get in regards to Nintendo's attitude on this, because so for instance, let's look at how I can't remember the name of the Danganronpa developers, but
they Spike Chunsoft.
Yeah, they basically put out a bulletin saying hey, we're cool with streaming, just put a spoiler warning in, and it's a very kind of it's kind of visual novel / mystery. There's a lot of exposition. I was about to say exposition, that kind of thing. It's a very much
narrative-heavy game.
Yeah, exactly. But they're cool with that being streamed, whereas Nintendo games, for the majority, are very analog experiences. They're very much you get the full experience from playing them yourself more than sort of watching. It's still fun to watch, but you know what I mean? And so it's kind of weird for Nintendo to kind of be like that, you know what I mean?
They're following the worst examples from Atlus's book. At least Atlus let you stream a fair bit of Persona 5 before they had to put the ban hammer on you, but they've thankfully extended that to later in the game. But still, it's taken the worst part of that and extending it to all their catalog now.
So the Persona 5 bit just then, when you're watching a cartoon, you've got the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other. They were both sat taking bets on how long it would be before you brought up Atlus and Persona 5 for streaming.
We mentioned it in the last episode as well, so it's it's a common thing or something.
I think chat has a point where a couple of people in chat now have said, well, the answer is just that creators are saying, well, fuck covering Nintendo games. And just they're not talking about Nintendo.
Yeah, that's the thing. So Nintendo is basically just gonna, well, it's not gonna get irrelevant, but it's gonna lose some like part portions of relevance essentially compared to other things. Like, for example, let's say they were sort of, completely loose and free about streaming and basically had some common sense when Mario Maker was out and when Mario Maker was relevant. Like, because you think like how many sort of creator games with your own creator content thing, just really, really prime YouTube content, get so
Little
many
Big
views.
Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like they could have really, really gotten a lot more exposure for that, which would have then driven sales and then gotten more people perhaps buying Wii U's and Super Mario Maker. But instead, they had to go fascist on our asses.
And I kind of, you lost me at the word exposure. Bearing in mind, I'm an artist. That's my day job and my side job. They're both art. So as soon as I hear the word exposure, it's gone. I'm getting my car. I'm leaving the building. You lost me.
Yeah, no, you need to pay attention then because it's a different context entirely. It's a different, very, very different kind of thing. It's not a case of us expecting Nintendo to give us something for free for exposure. It's a case of, hey, we're giving you free advertising and we're buying your shit.
On the plus side, we're nowhere near as obnoxious as those ads that keep showing up every 30 minutes on like other live stream things too. We're actually trying to be entertaining people too, so...
Yeah, it's like, for example, when you sent out your comic to reviewers, like if you did ask the reviewers, oh, by the way, you've got to pay me some money for the right to review my comic, then that would have basically been you pulling a Nintendo.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. Yeah,
yeah, exactly, and that's my point about exposure.
Yeah, I think I sent it. In the end, it was a case of like a friend said, I've got a list of reviewers. I'll share it with you. Okay, that'll be cool. I can add that to my usual pool, expecting like 5 or 6. Fucker sent me a CSV Excel file of 109 email addresses. I was looking at it like, shit, I only got 200 copies of the book printed.
Oh, bloody hell.
I'm guessing you get to provide them with digital copies then, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty much just added anyway, because if they want to show screenshots or anything, it's much easier to do that from a digital PDF than it is to do from, scanning in or photographing a physical copy. So.
Yeah. But so let's say people wanted to sort of do like YouTube reviews of your comic and that kind of thing, and you were basically saying, no, fuck you, I don't want this free attention. That's pulling.
Oh, that's one coming. I got a response today. Someone's doing a YouTube video on it this coming week, and they also want to do either a Skype or Google Hangouts video call like this as sort of like a behind-the-scenes interview thing.
Okay.
So I'll share the link around for that when I have it.
But yeah, so that's that's the point with Nintendo. Like they just don't seem to like free advertising.
It's more like second verse same with the first with Nintendo in terms of showing their content off, because years ago they decided to block like ad revenue and all this sort of thing. They did all this sort of nonsense. Now they're just expanding it further. They're very protective with their IPs, it seems. A little bit too protective. That's the big issue. They're not learning from anything. And because they have this exclusivity, because they're the ones who produce the content, they're the ones who make the system, they're the ones who have it on there. They have exclusivity rights to do that. Because it's a first-party title.
Very controlled ecosystem over at Nintendo, yeah. But I can understand them being protective. I can understand them being protective to a degree. I mean, have you been to a Comic-Con lately? The amount of bootleg stuff. I'm not even talking like fan artists and stuff. I'm not going to go into that area, but like just stalls selling bootleg figures and stuff. It's fucking phenomenal. Tons of them. You throw a rock, you're going to hit a bootleg.
Yeah, that is true. But like, they're protective to the point where like they don't even freaking support their own franchises. I mean, when's the last time we saw an F-Zero game or anything like that? It's just like, they basically don't want people to remember the shit that they've made, remember the stuff they've done, and think, oh, I'm looking forward to what they're going to bring out in the future.
Wait, so the F-Zero track in Mario Kart 8 doesn't count?
And they did.
No, it fucking doesn't.
They put F-Zero on the Super Nintendo Mini.
Great. But that's the thing, though. It's just like, because they're the copyright holders anyway, they have the right to decide who gets to cover something and who doesn't. It's not a case of like, oh, well, you can't tell me not to if you let them. It's like, well, yeah, we can. We're the fucking copyright holders.
But at least on the plus side, it's just streams we're talking
Technically-
about. So
Sorry, I need to correct that. Technically, there's a
Sure.
thing called implied consent.
Oh,
So
you mentioned
implied
this before,
consent is, someone goes about it, rips off your IP or does whatever. Yeah. And it's known about its
that's a defense, not a
prolific...
legal precedent.
Pardon?
That's a defense, not a legal precedent.
True enough. However, it's a good defense in that, if someone goes ahead and it's prolific and it's known about, and, within reason, there's no way they wouldn't have known, or if a company representative has commented on it or encouraged it or done anything along those lines, and then you go ahead and you do something similar, and they come after you when they didn't go after the other guy, then that can be your defense in court, is to say, well, if you're, giving one person the green light or not chasing down them, but you are chasing down someone else and the rules aren't being applied fairly, so it's all of us or none of us.
I don't think there's really a legal precedent for all of us or none of us. And before it gets to court, that's the point of cease and desist and that kind of thing.
awkward silence.
Implied consent is a thing that exists and can be used successfully as a defense. Moving on.
But at least this isn't just live streams. Keep that in mind. Well, this is just live streams we're talking about. So any kind of produced content in that sense, whether it be Let's Plays, reviews, exposés, theory videos, anything along those lines, just
It's already fucked by the creators program.
But at least they're screwed by the creators program because they get a percentage of that cut down. But at least it's not stopping them from making videos themselves.
Yet.
If it was, that'd be... You're saying, yeah, I think they like free advertising, but they're just being selective with what kind of free advertising because they can edit a video down. The stream...
Is that not Orwellian? You can say your message so long as we have control over that message.
It's kind of bizarre when you think about it, isn't it?
It's censorship, really, when you put it that way. Like, it's basically saying, oh, we've got something to hide. We don't want you to state what we have to hide. Like, it seems kind of dodgy to me. Like,
so do they have like an issue with...
This is a wider issue within most creative mediums, movies, games, books, etc., wherein a lot of people are scared if they give a bad review or they do an expose or something like that, that they will get cut off, blacklisted, that they will stop receiving review copies, stop getting invited to events, that kind of thing. So there's already, and this is where Gamergate started, and then unfortunately people changed the narrative to make it about something else so that the original issues were never addressed properly. It was about the relationship between games publishers and games journalists and whether that was always appropriate. I think there's a degree of that here.
The thing is, though, in any kind of media industry, there's always going to be relationships built up, like working relationships, that kind of thing. It's just an inevitable thing. It's just that people have to be professional in spite of these professional relationships.
Yeah, and they aren't for the large part. And there are pressures, pressures around, like, say you're in the Nintendo Creators Program and you're already in a position where you're like, shit, well, now I can only talk about these specific games and only get this much cut of the ad revenue rather than, I've got to fork some of it over. And now if I say something bad about one of those games, I don't even fucking get that. Now, if I dare say something bad, then I get cut off.
I don't think it's that people are saying things bad about it because they're still accepting reviews for some of their things. Some of the higher-based people who do this kind of stuff there, one comes to mind is Gerard from The Completionist. He does Nintendo games all the time. He gets promoted by them all the time. Sometimes he doesn't say the most positive things about the things he covers. And he literally, it's almost like a Let's Play of the entire thing because he's trying to deconstruct things down. No problems with that. So it's like a selective based thing where they just select people who they may not be interested in. And this is just an issue to potentially die down the people who may not be spreading the best message of it, because then that could be another issue entirely.
Right, so the thing is, though, what we're seeing now is what they're seeing now is they've changed the goalposts once by stopping live streams. What's to stop them from changing the goalposts again and again, like based on what they're feeling like at the moment? So, like, management might be feeling one day, you know what? Actually, I'm kind of fed up with this. I want this gone. Like, it's basically them just being petulant, really.
So we're going to get up to the point where only certain YouTubers can only cover Nintendo games at that point. It's going to be a dark day, that one is.
You
Yeah,
said
and
yourself
and
they're
it's
already
people
picking and choosing. That's
It seems like it. I mean, it seems like it, but I know that it probably isn't because I don't know much about it. But it may be that it potentially could be what they do down the line. Who knows?
I mean, what this kind of reminds me of is like there's some review websites that basically they would like pay for advertising on the website and that kind of thing. And then like if one of the reviewers gave them a bad review, I can't remember the specific thing, but I remember there was a
Lynch too.
There was also one for a tropical freeze, I think, a while back too.
Yeah. There was like a Call of Duty one a while back, I remember, and like Activision came down hard on the website for the game getting an 8 out of 10 rather than 9 or 10, which is fucking pathetic, frankly, because they've been like paying for shitloads of advertising that's plastered all over the fucking website. But what Nintendo basically gone and done is rather than paying for good press, instead they've basically fascist their way onto good press. Like they basically said, "Oh well, you can't cover us unless you give us part of the money." So it's like, okay, so you've bought our product, and now you've also got to give us some of your money.
Yeah, and this is one of the other reasons I don't have an interest in a Switch at the moment. Is that, like, although I don't do a lot of YouTube and I don't do a lot of Twitch, at least like if I'm buying my PS4, for example, I do go, oh, that opens up possibilities for videos. Right, but with a Switch, I sort of look at Nintendo and their draconian fucking rules, and like, nah, I don't want to deal with it.
It is kind of an elitist program. You either follow their rules or you don't get any kind of value from that. So it's either you follow them or you don't. Because again, they can do that because they own the IPs and the consoles and everything. But there's a certain limit to it, don't you think?
Yeah, that's the thing. But I'm like with Sam on that in regards to why I'm a bit kind of I'm an ahhing about covering Nintendo stuff. I mean, if they're targeting live streams as well, like I really wanted to cover all the Metroid stuff on my stream and a lot of that stuff, but now I'm thinking, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like people who maybe haven't played much Metroid or have been aware of the series but not really interested in it, like Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo Mini is pretty much going to be my first experience with the series proper. If you're not letting people do live streams and things like that, then they're not discovering it that way, because this is where all the kids are right now. This is what they're looking at. Kids don't watch TV, they watch YouTube. They don't hear about new games from traditional TV adverts, magazine adverts, etc. They hear about new games from their favorite YouTubers, and they implicitly trust these people. So if your game isn't being talked about by YouTube, I mean, there are tons of little games that YouTube has boosted into popularity. You look at Five Nights at Freddy's, you look at Undertale, and you think about where they would have been had it not been for that online community on DeviantArt, on YouTube, on Twitch, bringing people into the franchise.
Hell, Cuphead's going through that exact same thing right now. It's exploding on YouTube, Cuphead, right now, and a lot more people being introduced to it. So it's the same sort of thing.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, on top of that, if Nintendo are going to be selective about what YouTubers can cover what types of content as well. So it's basically going to end up being like the bigger names, like your PewDiePies and like people like that. But like,
it will never be PewDiePie.
Well, no, not PewDiePie now, but let's not go into that. But you know what I mean? Like the sort of the bigger names that are basically very corporate conglomerate now, because they've sort of got to a point now where, like, they're a brand more than a personality kind of thing. And so a lot of people are sort of more interested in the kind of middle of the road YouTubers, or the sort of starting up YouTubers, and hearing what they have to say, because they're going to be thinking, well, they're not sort of tied down by like some kind of business arrangements or anything. So we're going to like be hearing their personal perspective, their personal opinion, as opposed to a bigger name that's probably going to sort of be more censored and more kind of, mediated.
Are there any you'd like to shout out? Like Haydox and Exo Paradigm Gamer immediately come to mind when you mention that.
Yeah, exactly. And Some Call Me Johnny, for instance, as well. Like,
and I'd say Some Call Me Johnny is at like the Kid Icarus level, where they do get sent off and there are certain expectations made. I don't think Some Call Me Johnny is that far off of people like Gerard Khalil, the Completionist.
Oh no, I more meant him as like a middle of the road kind of one. Like,
well, he does like everything,
like, between like developing and between like big name, just sort of
Exactly. It's like he does everything. There was an entire month where the section where he just did independent games. So it's like it depends on the person itself. It depends on what they're known for. Some people then tend to do more things from another. So sometimes it's just like that. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, the only stuff I've known Some Call Me Johnny to get sent has been indie stuff anyway, because he's always very upfront about when he's doing sponsored content. Which that's another thing. Which that's another thing as well. When like YouTubers, like they need to be a bit more. A lot of them need to be a bit more upfront about like when it's sponsored content and that kind of thing. Like just for full disclosure. But that's just an opinion, and we could probably make a whole podcast about that.
Also, apologies, it got a little bit colder in here, so this is my TrueStorySeamus cosplay.
Ah, it's immaculate. You've only got the hair missing, but everything else is perfect.
And the headphones.
Exactly, perfect.
But yeah, I've kind of exhausted my point on that. Has anyone ever got anything to add?
I think we've pretty much gone through the whole entire deeper subset of it now as well, where it could potentially be leading us down.
Yeah, I mean, we've run the gamut on that one, I think. I think we've, like Seamus said, I think we've exhausted that one. But we have had, as we've gone along, a couple of listener questions. And I believe, Seamus, you've been putting them in a notepad document.
I've only got one. So, yeah, most of it has just been some meme-based things or reactions, to be fair. So we've only got one question now. So if you want to bombard us... I've got
a second one here. There's one about Rayman, Pokemon, and Sonic in need of a reboot.
Okay, so let me go with the one that was asked by Sonic Radio earlier on. So it's a question for all three. That means all of us. What is your fave PS2, Xbox, or GameCube game of all time? So they're asking, I think, for our favorite 6th generation game.
Oh God, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now.
Would Dreamcast count as that as well? Dreamcast would probably count as that generation as well.
Maybe, yeah. I could see that making sense. Dreamcast probably would count as well.
Oh dear.
6th gen.
I think I'm gonna go Ratchet and Clank 2.
Oh really?
Not a bad choice at all.
It's mascot platformer, 3D. It's also got shooting elements, which is, you know, done well. It's got good humor. It's got good social commentary. I like Ratchet and Clank 2. And the art direction is on point.
What makes you choose that one over 1 and 3 specifically? Or Gladiator?
Okay, so 1, Gladiator can get fucked.
Fair.
You've got no Clank. It's mission based. It's set up like it should be a PSP game.
Ah, okay.
You've got 1 which is, they were still finding their feet. They were still figuring it out. It's got a lot of humor, a lot of charm, but things like not being able to upgrade the health or weapons means that when you get into the late game, fuck me, you're dead. Whereas Ratchet and Clank 2, because you can upgrade the weapons, like the little pea shooter that you start out with can still be relevant at end game. Whereas in the first game, the weapons you buy at the start, by the end of the game, you're not using them anymore because the enemies don't even flinch to them. You know, whereas 3 really lost its way. A lot of elements were missing from 3. They cut a lot of content. It was shorter. They recycled a lot of assets. You didn't have unique enemies per world anymore. There were even developer podcasts for Ratchet and Clank 3 where they fully admit that they felt like they were about to release their worst game to date. And when it ended up being the best-selling Ratchet and Clank game, they looked at things and went, what the fuck? Ow!
Branding does a lot, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank 2.
I'm going to go with Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. I put so much time into that freaking game. It's probably still, like, just because of the fact that on top of it being a fighting game, there's just also so much to cover. Like, typical fighting games, you have like an arcade mode where you can play through the characters, maybe unlocking a few extra characters, and like that's about it unless you play online. Whereas that was just so freaking jam-packed full of stuff to do, and the character roster on that was amazingly massive, albeit incredibly unbalanced, but still fun and as hell to use. I must have put hundreds of hours into that.
All right, I guess this awkward silence belongs to me then. Okay, I could go through. I could go through a lot of things that came out in the 6th gen because I grew up in the 6th gen. So titles that have a lot of nostalgia, like Sonic Adventure 2 is one. There's also some great RPGs I could have done, like Kingdom Hearts 2 or Persona 4, for example. Those could have been good. But my favorite 6th gen consoles game is now and forever probably will be Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King. Funnily enough, it was the first Dragon Quest game to ever come out in Europe, and including the UK as well. So it was our first chance to get into it. So it didn't have a number when it first came out. And also, interestingly, in the US, when it was released, it got a demo of Final Fantasy XII, which was a much lesser game from what I've heard. But we didn't get that in the UK. We had literally just had the game stand alone. It was coming out the same year as Kingdom Hearts 2 at the time, in May or April it came out. And so it was kind of like an interim between that titles that came out. And it was, I can't tell you how many times I've like replayed it then. I finished it, got the true ending finally after an eternity. It's a game that's aged incredibly well. It looks great. It just sounds phenomenal. There's a fully orchestrated soundtrack on the PS2. The characters are all incredibly likable. It makes grinding enjoyable. Yes, I'm freaking serious. It makes grinding enjoyable. I don't know. I don't know how they did it. This is the one time I may accept it. They made that enjoyable. I don't know how they did it. It's a game with a lot of imagination, a lot of memorable moments. It's an experience that I've probably going to have to try playing at least once a year at this point, because that's what I've been doing for like the past year or two. I've just gotten reacclimated, and it still stands as my favorite, not only PS2 game, but probably favorite 6th gen game.
Jesus.
That was a mouthful, wasn't it?
I do want to just mention close second and third, Burnout 3 and Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with those.
I've not played Burnout 3, but I guess you could replace that with Persona 4 in my mind. I guess I'm not a fan of racing games. Okay, you can just like go at me all you want.
Burnout's one of don't like racing games. You will like Burnout 3.
Well, I guess I gotta get Burnout 3 at some point. What about 1 and 2? Should we try that?
They're okay, but Burnout 3 and Revenge are where it's at. So they're basically racing games for people that don't like racing games.
Oh, like Mario Kart, except more realistic.
It's not realistic, believe me.
Never mind that then.
It is an arcade racer through and through. You sling your cars around corners in ways that just would not work in real life.
Yeah, it's just super fast. Like, you know how when you play in Sonic Generations, it just feels incredibly fast, like the whole time through. It's like that.
Yeah, these are some unconventional choices. You know, we could have gone for some more like famous stuff, I guess, but it's good that we're different, right?
Exactly. If that's one thing that can describe us, it's different.
Certainly, my parents and all of the tutors at school wanted me to know that being different was okay.
Have we got a second question?
Yeah, so we got, it was also Sonic Radio earlier on, said, do we feel that Rayman, Pokemon, and Sonic are all in desperate need of a reboot?
We've had too many Sonic reboots. No, we don't need to reboot that fucking thing again. We just need to take the formula of the successful games and fucking use it.
For Pokemon, they kind of did a soft reboot of sorts with Sun and Moon. They changed a lot of things up. It's not really a reboot. It's more of a reintroduction and like just a kind of figuring out more stuff about it.
I'll agree with that. I think Moon was a resurgence, and it was a shot in the arm that the series desperately needed. Had Moon, like before Sun and Moon, I would have agreed that a reboot might have worked. But now that we've had Sun and Moon, I don't think we need a reboot.
It's kind of changed a lot about it, and it was a soft reboot, sort of, but it's kept everything like the same. So why change it?
Getting rid of HMs was the best thing ever.
With Rayman, that kind of did get rebooted with Rayman Origins back, like in the early 2010s. So well, it's not really a reboot. They were just going back to the 2D platforming that started Rayman in the mid 90s with his PS1 game and everything.
I'd like to see them try a 3D Rayman platformer again, like none of this Rabbids bullshit.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Just doing that again would be good, because I mean, if Rayman Legends Definitive does okay in the sales advocate for people who may not have played it before, maybe it might tell Ubisoft, can we just stop putting the rabbits in everything? Why did they have to team up with Mario? There was no rabbit game for years until just now.
Oh, jeez. And on top of that as well, another fucking port of Rayman 2 does not count.
Yes, no, it doesn't. Unless, even if you fully remastered, I don't think people want that, all right?
No, we've had it on fucking DS, 3DS, like a million different fucking consoles.
Do you know how cathartic it would be? Rayman 4 was first announced with Rayman beating the absolute living crap out of these rabbits in those trailers. Would you imagine how cathartic it would be if a Rayman 4 was announced where you could just lay waste to rabbits everywhere? Like, you've been doing this to me for a decade. You've ruined my name. You've taken my thunder.
Oh.
That would just be worth it all by itself.
There's a rabbit TV show apparently, according to Sonic Radio. That I'm never watching that.
There was a Rayman TV pilot back in like the late 90s and so. 3D show.
I'll tell you what, those rabbits, they can go fuck themselves, because you know what they remind me of? Fucking Minions, and they can go fuck themselves too.
Well, they're the ones who started this, like, at least like half a decade before them, so give them credit. They came first.
Yeah, both of them just no, fuck off. I hate those things.
So, I think it's summed up beautifully by chat. That's it. I'm having rabbit stew tomorrow. So,
I'm having rabbits.
If there are any questions that we missed, I mean, there's a very, very recent one about what's your favorite JoJo stand. Now, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I've only just started, so like the non-spoilery. The fire at the very beginning has only just happened.
What was his name again? Ah, shit. Oh, that's Magician's Red. There we go. That's what it's called. Yeah, that was Magician's Red. This the one that can set everything on fire, and just that was such a. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's some great moments of that.
No, this is like the first generation. Because like it goes through different generations.
Oh, so it's like way before stands even were a thing.
Yeah, no. This is the fire caused by Dio.
That's not really a stand, though, is it? That's literally the confrontation between the brother and like the adopted brother, which by the way was a
but
great confrontation.
I'm not far enough into the series to know.
You should keep going. Part 1's really good. Part 2 might be even better. Just keep going. Just be prepared for it to jump. Just be prepared for it to jump the shark by the third part because everything changes.
Okay,
but I'll go with mine. I'll try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. Killer Queen from Part 4. I do like what they do with the whole time manipulation aspect in the second half of that part. The first part was pretty neat because what the power was that it could do is it literally could make any object combustible. So say this thing touches a coin, throw the coin, they could literally just detonate it like a C4 anywhere. Anything could be explosive at that point, and it's a very creative power, and he's a walking queen reference. How can you go wrong with that? I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to spoil anything more for Sam than I may have already done so.
I'm just not familiar with the series, so I haven't really got anything to add to that.
I'm just impressed that Terry didn't make a joke about an explosive penis.
I'm growing up. Plus, I was just checking through all the chat just to make sure there's no questions we missed anyway, like from earlier on.
There's one from now. Ravenous Dragon asks, Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Blue? Considering my online handle for several years was Afro Blue, my favorite color is blue, and blue is in literally fucking everything I do. Blue.
I'm going to go a little bit more topical on this, more than just color choice. I'm going to go with God, mainly. Because do you know how useless they've made Super Saiyan Blue look for the past year? And it's been so poorly explained, too. At least Super Saiyan God, at least, was explained well. It was concise. It barely shows up. It's not being milked to hell and back. We saw it recently in Dragon Ball Super, but again, no explanation. Why did he decide to go just God form? He could do that? Okay. Why doesn't he use it more often? Would it be more again, there's nothing explained on Blue why it's superior to going. There's no explanation. And now God is just a more fascinating transformation because they explain the mythology. They explain how much more useful it is. It makes you leaner in appearance and youthful, which is definitely an interesting way of looking at it. Just God is far more interesting than Blue because Blue is just, it's just a hair dye. That's all it is. That's all I'm seeing it as.
Blue is might get you interested in the manga. In the manga against Zamasu, Vegeta goes Super Saiyan God. Not Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God Vegeta.
Exactly. See, I mean, there's a lot of differences between the manga and anime that we could go into huge details about, like massive changes.
See, I haven't seen such a useless transformation as Super Saiyan Blue since Super Saiyan 3. Like, it's the new Super Saiyan 3 to me.
You know I loved Super Saiyan 3.
It's a cool looking form, but let's face it, how they wrote it was fucking terrible.
Yeah. I kind of like that Toriyama admits that when he was doing that scene, he forgot Super Saiyan 2 was a thing.
That sounds like Toriyama.
Like, if we want to talk about an underused form, right, I think Super Saiyan 2 takes the cake.
Yeah.
Like, Vegeta, I can't even tell if he's in Super Saiyan 2 or not.
Oh, I know, right?
Like, Goku just about, because he doesn't have as many clumps of hair on the front.
It's all about that little waft at the front. If that bang is out, that means you're Super Saiyan 2. Or you've unlocked your Elder Kai transformation like Gohan does or something.
Oh,
like
don't forget the sparks.
Oh yeah, lightning as well. But didn't Super Saiyan 3 have sparks too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Super Saiyan 3 had no eyebrows and much longer hair. So... Wait, why am I dissing Super Saiyan 3? I like Super Saiyan 3.
I'm like, it's like meh to me, but okay. I don't hate it. I just think it's kind of meh. But yeah, I still think Super Saiyan Blue is just as useless because it just doesn't seem like there's no mysticism about it. They've done a terrible job explaining it.
Yeah, or now they're going the complete other way of it. So like there'll be like sort of moments where they're trying to build tension. And you're just shouting, "Why the fuck aren't you using blue?"
I swear to God, with this new kind of hyped up transformation for Super that's coming out that they've been teasing and not really said a darn thing about.
And thanks, guys. Going magazine, like the online in general.
Going more minimalist with the design again, which is good. But I swear to God, if they don't explain it, oh God, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. All right, if they don't explain this at all, it's coming next week. Apparently, that's what they're teasing.
Yeah, we're getting a 1 hour special. Sunday coming, we're getting a 1 hour special. So
that'll make up for missing this week then.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll explain it by a funny feeling in their back.
Hey, that was okay. At least they explain how it works. And now the whole like Jaden Super Saiyan thing. We can ask him, were you tingling your back? No.
I'm going to kill you.
Oh dear. And yeah, the cop car was mine, Ravenous Dragon. Sorry about that. I think my cab's here.
Do you have any more questions aside from potential fourth wall breakings of Terry's apartment, please?
We'll give it a couple of moments for questions, but then if there are no more questions, then we'll wrap up. You know, I need to prep for the Ratchet and Clank stream, which starts at 7 as well. So that works out quite handily for me, anyway.
Indeed, it does.
Yeah. Which, once again, the links are in the description down below.
Your shameless plugging points are on point right now.
Yeah, we've got a lot of links down there.
Yeah, it's pretty long. Kind of like... No, I'm not going to go there.
Goodness. And on that note, I think there's not going to be any more questions at this point. So, do you want to do us the outro, Samuel?
We've got one. It's like a Splatoon contest all over again.
Ice cream. We got one.
Cake or ice cream? Which one would you go for?
Ice cream.
Cake.
I'm going to be an ice cream guy this time.
Hey. Oh, and Dimension Crisps.
I don't even know what a Dimension Crisps are. Is that a new Walker variety that's come out?
I swear, if Prawn Cocktail gets knocked off from that choose or lose thing, I will lose it.
Is that still ongoing now? How that feels like it's been going on for months.
Is the Ratchet and Clank movie any good? I'm going to field this one. I took my it was the first movie I took my daughter to see at the cinema. It's a DVD that's been played 100 times over since we got it, and now that it's in high definition because we didn't get the Blu-ray for some reason. It didn't come out here. So now it's in high definition on Netflix. It gets watched a whole bunch more. I personally liked it. It was, as a fan of the games anyway, I felt that the characters were more or less there. I mean, Ratchet was a bit off. He was a little bit fanboy over Quark.
He was a bit Ratchet. Sorry, had to.
Overall, the movie was okay. It was inoffensive. It was enjoyable. Like the kid really loved it. That was the main thing. It's all right. It's like a solid 6 out of 10.
Considering the way video game movies are, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. Most video game movies are pretty mediocre, so that's good.
It's competent. Put it this way: I would rather watch the Ratchet and Clank movie again than watch the new Tomb Raider movie.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, there's another one coming out? Oh, there is, isn't there?
Based on the 2013 reboot game, yeah.
Well, I think the 2013 reboot game is on sale on Steam. I think I'm going to go for that now. I've been meaning to for a while now.
It is a good game. I freaking love it. I'm not a fan of Tomb Raider. Like, I never really played any old ones. That's the only Tomb Raider I've ever finished, and I loved it.
I mean, I've already bought it on PS3. Why not buy it on Steam? Come on now.
Yeah, definitive edition.
Gotta do it. Gotta be done. At any rate, we will wrap this on up then. So, thank you to everyone in chat for joining us. Thank you to anyone who is watching this on archive after the fact. I would say we love you all. I don't really know you all well enough to say that. So, at best, we probably like or at least tolerate you all.
How about a virtual handshake? Like, that's yeah.
I don't know. RGS is quite lovable, if you ask me.
We'll let you have your little bromance.
But at any rate, I've been Sam. Over there has been...
I've been Terry Chaos, and one little last plug. I will be covering Spyro 2 tomorrow on my stream, which you can find a link to down below at 6 o'clock GMT in the evening. And you have been?
I've been some guy with a microphone known as TrueStorySeamus who streams 5 times a week. And that's my shameless plug for the day.
And speaking of streams, I've dropped a link in the chat there. So in 15 minutes, I will be picking up my stream of Ratchet and Clank 1. We're using the PS3 HD trilogy version just for cleaner footage. So hopefully I'll see a few of you over there in 15 minutes' time.
I'm personally not looking forward to seeing Ratchet in his bitchy phase, but that'll pass, right?
In his hench phase as well, when he was like working out and lifting.
It does overstay its welcome a little bit, I must admit. It's like, Ratchet, get the fuck over it.
You can see the context for that on Sam's stream in not long from now.
Hey!
All right.
Thank you very much,
later, everybody.